Hey, what is going on YouTube? Aaron here. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are in the Colombo, and today we have a game that is probably every, aggressive Battleship player's dream. This was nearly the perfect game with potentially a heartbreaking moment near the end. We also have a few recognizable names in this game, as the Sumner gives us the early game torpedoes, which is kind of a waste. He's got a long reload on those, but on top of, the Sumner and a few other recognizable names, we also have the most notorious or infamous AFK player on our team in this game. Now, it will not be very difficult if you check the end scoreboard, and I also want to use this moment to just tell you guys how little weight the CCs have. Because, and I actually haven't seen that, I didn't know this guy was in my game until I went back and watched this footage, but 3 or 4 other CCs have reported this guy on multiple different occasions. Now, let me say, being AFK, I've been AFK, somebody knocks on your door, you get a very important call. It's a video game, right? But this guy has been reported on, I can tell you, 10 different occasions from CCs, and I've actually seen his name in a few of the forums. So I think this person is just, I don't know, trying to troll or trying to figure out if he leaves every game what his win rate will be. But regardless, I feel like if you're AFK more than 10 times, you need to be, submitted to AI for the, 80 until you're not AFK. I don't know. We need to figure out some solution. But regardless, we are pushing ahead in the Colombo here, and we're not going to let Mr. AFK, determine our game here. So our team actually has a pretty good push that Sumner is pushing ahead to spot. Unfortunately, this is not domination. I feel like our score would have been higher here. We see this Petro kind of coming around the corner, so we're going to go ahead and lob, take a shot as we turn in here. That Petro was last spotted going in. He's at a pretty good angle, so we're in a little bit of a tricky spot. We do have some great team support, and that is when our Sumner spots the other Sumner. On top of that, we have a Worcester with what we presume is in radar range, so we're going to go ahead and press in and be aggressive here. We are running a brawler type build, but that does not mean that we do not get the RNG, as I don't know if I put the total number of citadels on the thumbnail here, but just further proof that you don't need an accuracy build to get good results every single game. Now guys, here is a perfect example of how to be a supportive teammate in a Battleship. We can see that our Sumner went ahead and he is taking a little bit of damage. So what we're going to do is we're going to push ahead while this Sumner, the enemy Sumner, is spotted, and we're going to use our secondaries as well as our main guns to try and eliminate that Sumner. Also, we kind of held off on our shot on that Yamato. Why? Because we have a little bit of this concealment here, and the destroyer is the bigger threat. So we wanted to come around this island a little bit concealed, get our secondaries on target. We got a good, or a decent main gun hit rather, and unfortunately the Sumner goes dark. Now would have been a great time for this Worcester to push forward just a little bit, utilizing his radar. I don't know if, he used his radar earlier, but a little trick for radar cruisers is you don't want to really use your radar unless you know you're going to have a lot of team focus fire, team support, or you have a great set of shots on that destroyer. Because wasting your radar just to see where they are is just a bad play. But up next is this Petro, who came out a little too broadside, and he pays for it. There is the first citadel of many to come without an accuracy build, I might add. On top of that, he is getting chewed up by our secondaries. But because of this position, right, I even remember thinking like, wow, I am way too far ahead here. We've got a Yamato out there, we've got a Sumner on our left, and even though that Petro can't really do too much to us unless we give him flat broadside, he is still a significant threat. That is when we notice the Yamato making a beautiful game return. We lead the shot, no accuracy build, let's remember that, everybody. Boom! 3 citadels, about 45 to 50,000 damage there. Just a beautiful salvo. So if you can manage to get in nice and close with these Italian battleships, get your secondaries on target, use your smoke screen and armor when appropriate, you don't really need the accuracy. Now that being said, we could have potentially got a dev strike, who knows, but I find the ships much better when you kind of just play them to their strengths, right? Instead of just slapping accuracy or rudder or a one-size-fits-all build to all ships. That is not necessarily how the game is meant to be played. Again, you can play it however you want, but just thinking about it, the game would be very boring if all of the ships were exactly the same. But there is another one. The Petro gives us a little bit of angle. Doesn't matter, right to his citadel. You do not want to go broadside in those Russian cruisers, and that is kill number 1. And we're not stopping there. We're gonna press this advantage. But what we're not gonna do is rush blindly in as we see this Worcester radar. I actually went back and watched it. He did, in fact, radar a little bit earlier and get a few shots on that Sumner, so good on him. But when you're a radar cruiser, especially a high DPM radar cruiser, you want to make sure that all of those salvos count, right? You don't want to. You want to be at angle, kind of getting all your turrets on target, etc. Because those radars, even with fully packed, you only get 3 of them. And if a destroyer player knows your radar ranges, he will, kind of be outside of those ranges. But we're going to go ahead and push forward here. That's when we see this Yamato coming around the corner. It must be Christmas, right? All of these broadside Yamatos. The Yamato is probably one of the best battleships at Legendary tier when you do not show broadside like this. I have no idea what this guy was doing. We're kind of waiting for all turrets to get on target. Yeesh! Why did he do it like that? Another 3 citadels. No accuracy build, mind you, for the beautiful, beautiful depth strike. 150,000 damage in the opening 5.5 minutes here. Now, of course, this game is a little lopsided, as honestly most of the games have been recently, but that is because of our team. This little squad on the left here did a fantastic job of playing off of each other, right? We pushed ahead, we tanked a little bit of the damage, the Worcester did radar, the Sumner did spot, right? Now, of course, the enemy was what we would call potential paid actors, as we get a little bit of a blind fire off on that Napoli. We get the broadside there. He gets citadeled. Good night. Thanks for playing. That is the high caliber. That is kill number 3. And we're just going to YOLO rush ahead. Now, I made this video, or I've done this replay, this announcing a few times. And normally, unless the game is this lopsided, you don't want to push this far ahead this early. Now, of course, there's only 3 enemy teammates left. We're trying to get kills 4 and 5 for the Kraken. But sometimes when games are a little bit closer, you want to look back and see what your team needs, as we potentially hold the shot just a little bit longer. We were waiting for him to open up angle, and that is when we get the 4th, and actually what will be our final kill. That Sumner, which we left alive because of the little premature radar, we will call it, by the Worcester, he actually gets 2 torpedoes, which cause a flood, and now we're in a pretty bad spot. Why? Because that Hayate is on our right. As soon as I looked back, I was like, son of a... yeah. Anyway, I give the classic thumbs up there, and the typical IJN destroyer player. No, these were actually some pretty good cross torps. We get one little blind salvo off to try and get the cheesy last kill. This would have... how epic would that have been, right? A perfect game. Look how close we were, too, right? We were pretty... I mean, we were pretty close. It doesn't matter. That would have been the Kraken. But still a perfect game to show you how aggression can work. Now, as we've said in all of our videos, each game is a different, unique set of events. It's like the multiverse. If you're kind of a Marvel comic nerd, you do one thing and it sets off a branch of timelines, and it usually starts with your destroyer play. The enemy team actually had some pretty good destroyers, but they didn't put themselves necessarily in the right positions, nor did they have the right support. I also want to give you guys a quick little reminder. You can notice on the minimap there, we do have that teammate who is, again, notoriously AFK. And I don't know if I mentioned it at the beginning, but we have mentioned this. We've shown him being AFK in Wargaming. I don't know if they've done anything, but it's been like 6 months that we've been reporting this, and they're like, oh, well, we need like proof for stuff, and we just... and I get it, right? Like if you're let's say you're a on-call doctor or something, and you got to pick up the phone. This game means nothing, but I don't think that is the case. But anyway, that was a beautiful game in the Colombo. We're just trying to wait for the finish here. But there it is, the final finishing touch on a game. High caliber, 9 citadels, a dev strike on that Yamato. I think you guys will see that YouTube short a little bit later. And again, the capture the base, you're limiting yourself on the total XP, gained due to the lack of defend ribbons and total capture ribbons. So just keep that in mind, which is why I prefer domination. Also in domination, you can sometimes, out carry bad teammates, whereas capture the base is more of team deathmatch. So play them accordingly. But yeah, I think it was 24-67, 4 kills. Shout out to our other Yoshino with the high caliber. And yeah, not too much damage, but a fun little game in the Colombo, just kind of switching it up between battleships, destroyers, cruisers. And yes, we had Mr. Paulo Di Ravel there with a full brawling build. No accuracy required. we got a bunch of videos coming, man. A little challenge with Durka upcoming potentially, but hope you guys have a great day. Aaron out. Peace.